Welcome back. This channel is all about leveraging the wisdom of crowds to make better predictions. As our regular viewers will already know, we tend to focus on finance, geopolitics, and economics, and we always take a macro perspective. We never focus on the short-term performance of individual stocks or provide technical analysis. That's just not what we do at Foresight Bureau. Instead, we try to gather as much prediction data from as many different sources as possible to identify and analyze megatrends that will have a meaningful impact on the world. For example, we constantly think about how macro factors may influence the general direction of travel when it comes to the global economy, financial markets, and geopolitical tensions. We want our subscribers to be aware of problems and challenges before they happen, as being forewarned is being forearmed. When making predictions, we usually consider what might happen within the next few months or years. However, on this occasion we decided to use our imagination and consider what could potentially take place over the next few decades and centuries. That's because sometimes it's good to take a very long-term view and consider what the world might look like in the far future. This video will try to predict when artificial general intelligence, or AGI, might become a reality, and in subsequent videos we'll try to predict events that might take place across a much longer timeline. For example, we'll consider when humans are most likely to colonize space, when evidence of extraterrestrial life might be discovered, and when the first human might live to 1,000. It all sounds ridiculously far-fetched, but expect the speed of innovation to start accelerating well beyond our current expectations once AGI becomes a reality. In fact, the world will change so suddenly and profoundly that it is almost impossible to fully comprehend what will really happen over the coming decades, but that won't stop us from trying. Don't forget, fortunes are made and lost during periods of disruption and rapid change. A fourth turning happens every 80 to 100 years, and we are entering the final stages of the current saeculum, so it's time to prepare for chaos and embrace change head-on. After all, that's how dynasties are created. In every case, there is a moment in time when the first generation created something of huge value, or seized upon a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The proceeds were then not squandered, but instead built upon by subsequent generations, resulting in billionaire families that consider themselves as custodians, who not only accumulate but pass on wealth to future generations, ensuring the family legacy is maintained. So ask yourself, what future mega trends might make your grandchildren and great-grandchildren rich? Spotting trends way ahead of the pack, becoming an early adopter, or making shrewd investment decisions now can snowball into exponential gains for years to come. Had you purchased Bitcoin for a few cents in the early days, you'd be a multi-millionaire today. And who knows, maybe a billionaire by the end of the decade. Obviously, that's an extreme example, but it pays to keep an eye on exponential trends. It might be cryptocurrency, AI and robotics, life extension, material science, or space exploration. Who knows? But that's why we created this series of thought-provoking videos. But before we continue, please note that all predictions referred to in this video are subject to change on a continuous basis. You can use the links provided in the description below to get the latest prediction results, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's now go to our first prediction by asking, when will a general artificial intelligence system with robotic capabilities become a reality? In order to answer this question, let's check out Metaculus, one of the leading prediction market platforms. It has a similar question that was posted by the community on 23rd of August 2020, and at the time of making this video, the predicted date is January the 12th, 2032. However, as previously stated, results will continuously change as new information becomes available. So let's look at what generative AI systems have been paired with robotic capabilities so far. Obviously, we can only assess technologies that exist in the public domain. There are very likely to be all kinds of advanced research and development programs that are taking place behind closed doors in both the public as well as the private sector. Goodness only knows what the military primes like Lockheed Martin and the U.S. Department of Defense are currently working on. For example, let's start by looking at a robot called Spot that was developed by Boston Dynamics.
Greetings, good sirs. May I have the pleasure of knowing your names?
I'm Matt, and that's Vache.
A pleasure to meet you, Matt and Vacha. Shall we commence our journey? The charging stations where Spot robots rest and recharge is our first point of interest. Follow me, gentlemen.
As you can see, the engineers at Boston Dynamics have managed to combine a ruggedized industrial quadruped with a conversational human-to-machine interface. Let's now listen to how it could be applied to real-world applications.
We see these AI technologies being useful in lots of environments. It's hard to know what kind of capabilities will even be available in the next few years. This kind of technology might make it possible for robots not just to follow our commands, but in some sense understand the actions that they can take in the context of the world around them. We think a capability like this might be useful not just to our current customers, but maybe even applications we haven't even imagined yet.
Here is another robot developed by Boston Dynamics, but this time it's a biped called Atlas.
This video should in many ways look familiar to those who've seen our videos in the past, but it's meant to communicate an expansion of the research that we're doing on Atlas. So we're not just thinking about how to make the robot move dynamically through its environment like we did in parkour and dance. Now we're starting to put Atlas to work and think about how the robot should be able to perceive and manipulate objects in its environment while maintaining that characteristic high level of performance that we expect from Atlas. In order to do that, the robot has to be able to think about the properties of objects, their shape, their mass properties, and as it's manipulating these objects, the constraints that exist between the robot and the object, the forces that exist, and it has to have a control system that's able to balance what may be competing objectives related to stability or the manipulation task at hand.
Now imagine a robot that can learn from every interaction, every task, and every challenge. A machine that doesn't just compute, but comprehends. Let's take a look at the Tesla bot and see how it compares.
Unlike Atlas, which has no software that allows it to choose the optimal way to traverse or function, the Tesla bot has a solid level of autonomy that allows it to choose the most optimal way of doing a task that it was ordered to do. The AI found in the Tesla bot is none other than the one found in Tesla's vehicles. The Advanced Driver Assistance System, or ADAS for short, has been modified so that it can be used in robots. Simply, Tesla will defeat Boston Dynamics by their sheer production output of the Tesla bot. The Atlas is a highly impressive robot. However, Boston Dynamics simply don't have the capacity nor the budget of producing it in mass quantities. Even if it manages to enter production, it'll most likely cost an arm and a leg, primarily because of how strong and overbuilt it is. On the other hand, the Tesla bot is going to be fairly affordable, which is due to the fact a much simpler design that doesn't incorporate an advanced hydraulic frame simply because it's not needed.
Now let's look at a robot that can not only operate autonomously, but also develop the ability to emulate human emotional intelligence.
Ameca, the world's most advanced humanoid robot created by Engineered Arts, has been sparking excitement and debate recently with its integration of creative AI. Specifically, Ameca demonstrated the ability to generate art using stable diffusion, an impressively advanced capability that provides a glimpse into the future of human-robot interaction. First, let's provide some background. Ameca was designed to mimic human appearance and behavior, from lifelike silicone skin to cameras for eyes that allow for facial recognition and expression. This humanoid robot can understand and respond to language, control its movements, and give the uncanny impression of human-like thoughts and emotions.
So as you can see, the AI and robotic revolution is rapidly evolving. Therefore, the implications are worth exploring in order to take full advantage of the almost limitless potential economic and technological opportunities that will be presented by the machine economy. Of course, many will be left behind as they will not be able to adapt, and there are plenty of ethical considerations that will need to be resolved. For example, who controls the AI? What happens if an AI or robot causes damage, injury, or fatalities? What can be done now to prevent rogue elements such as criminals or state actors from weaponizing the technology? How do we ensure it's used for the betterment of all? And what impact will it have on the job market? Just recently, President Biden signed an executive order on AI that aims to set guardrails around this fast-emerging technology.
Last hour, the White House releasing details of a new executive order that would direct federal agencies to regulate as well as shape the growth of artificial intelligence. Eamon Javers joins us now. More, if they got up, I guess you had to get up, Eamon.
That's right. No way around it, Joe. Good morning. This is an extraordinarily wide-ranging executive order. It's directing just about every federal agency to regulate and, as you say, shape the growth of AI in an effort to protect the public, the economy, and national security. Now, President Biden's power is limited here to the executive branch with this executive order, but with Congress unlikely to be able to produce new laws around this until next year, if at all, this is likely to be the most aggressive piece of American regulation over this fast-growing new industry for some time to come. Among the safety measures here, Biden will require developers of the most powerful AI systems to share their safety test results with the U.S. government. The National Institute of Standards and Technology will set, quote, rigorous standards for extensive red team testing to ensure safety before public release of any AI products. And agencies that do biotech projects will be required to develop strong new standards for biological synthesis screening. In an effort to limit deepfakes and misinformation, the Department of Commerce will develop guidance for content authentication. authentication and watermarking to clearly label AI-generated content, and to prevent AI-fueled leaps in cyber attacks, the administration says it will use AI tools to develop fixes for vulnerabilities in critical software. There's also an effort here to stop unintentional AI-based discrimination. The order is going to provide guidance to landlords, federal benefits programs, and federal contractors to keep AI algorithms from being used to worsen discrimination. And the Department of Justice and federal civil rights offices will train on how to investigate and prosecute civil rights violations that are related to AI. And in a nod to concerns that AI could be on the brink of eliminating millions of jobs, Biden is directing his administration to write a report on AI's potential labor market impacts and study and identify options for strengthening federal support for workers who face labor disruptions from AI. So there's a lot going on here, Joe. Back over to you.
But even if government regulation adds some minor headwinds, the consensus is that the race to develop artificial general intelligence is unstoppable. According to Mo Gaudat, a former Google executive, in only a couple of years, AI could become 5,000 times more intelligent than the average human.
In 2 to 3 years' time, we will have 2 more doublings. You're talking about intelligence of the magnitude of, say, 3,000 times humans, 5,000 times humans.
So hang on, 3,000 times more intelligent than your average human, or 5,000 times?
It is already more intelligent than the average human.
Risks and challenges aside, the rise of artificial general intelligence systems could create millions of jobs and an abundance of wealth-creating opportunities. So it's important to consider when a general AI system with robotic capabilities is most likely to become a reality. But before we aggregate our predictions, let's look at what you can do now to benefit from this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The following should not be regarded as financial advice, and you should always consult a professional before making any investments. Rather than attempt to pick individual stocks, we invest in exchange-traded funds or ETFs that make it possible to spread risk by owning a basket of different stocks. One such ETF is Global X with the ticker symbol BOTZ. This product invests around 80% of its total assets under management in the Global Robotics and AI Index. The next product worth considering is the ARC Autonomous Tech and Robotics ETF that is managed by Cathie Wood. Unfortunately, we believe she has lost quite a bit of credibility. That's because over the past few years she has repeatedly made predictions about the future performance of her funds that have turned out to be overly optimistic by quite a large margin. Also, we find that her assumptions are often based on metrics that are highly questionable in our opinion. But past performance is no guarantee of future performance, as they say, so definitely one to watch. Next up is First Trust Nasdaq AI and Robotics ETF, ticker ROBT. The portfolio contains aerospace and defense stocks issued by manufacturers that make autonomous military drones that some may prefer to avoid. But for those that wish to profit from geopolitical conflict, this might be the ETF for you. The next on our list is the Robo Global AI ETF with the ticker symbol THNQ. It includes infrastructure companies that provide computing, data, and cloud services, as well as companies that apply AI in various verticals, from business processes to e-commerce and healthcare, among others. It will be interesting to see how big blue chips like Microsoft, Google, IBM, Tesla, NVIDIA, Intel, AMD, ASML, ARM, and Apple perform over the next few years. But due to the recent hype around chip and AI stocks and a slowing economy, we fear they may currently be overvalued, but it's important that you do your own due diligence. And now it's prediction time. So what does the Foresight Bureau team think? Well, our crystal ball tells us that with the current trajectory of technological advancements fueled with an abundance of capital investment, it is our view that a GI could become a reality by 2030. In a moment, we will obtain a few artificial intelligence-generated predictions that will be added to the total so that we can calculate an average forecast that we'll share at end of this video. But before we do, don't forget to post your own predictions in the comments section below. And as usual, all the prediction results will be collated and made available to view on our Substack. We gather predictions from as many different sources as possible and then combine them to produce an aggregated average as a percentage. Viewing our predictions on Substack is free. Just head over and search for Foresight Bureau, then subscribe for the latest results. Let's now ask ChatGPT for its prediction.
The exact timeline for the development of a general artificial intelligence system is challenging due to the myriad of technical, ethical, and socio-political variables involved. Given the current trajectory of AI research, expert opinions, and the challenges ahead, a ballpark estimate for the development and public announcement of a GAI system could be around 2045.
Now let's ask Google Bard.
Based on the available evidence, I would say that 2037 is a reasonable possibility. Of course, there is also a chance that AGI will be achieved earlier or later than 2037. It is impossible to say for sure. However, I believe that 2037 is a reasonable target date for the development of AGI.
Now let's ask Claude.
Many AI researchers have proposed possible timelines for AGI's arrival, with estimates ranging from the 2020s to the 2080s. Taking these opinions into account, if I had to pick a target date, I would predict the year 2045 for when the first general AI system could be publicly announced. I think there is maybe a 30 to 50% chance of AGI emerging around 2045, but there is also a very real possibility it could take longer or manifest earlier.
Now let's calculate an aggregated unweighted average. Foresight Bureau 2030, Metaculus 2032, ChatGPT 2045, Bard 2037, and Claude 2045, which gives us an aggregated average of the year 2038. Remember to like and subscribe for more prediction analysis, and please note that these predictions are subject to change on a continuous basis, so keep checking back for the latest results. And that wraps up our analysis of when a general artificial intelligence system that could be embedded into a physical robotic form could become a reality. Follow us on social media and subscribe to our newsletter to stay in the loop. Disclaimer: this content is intended for entertainment purposes only. We do not guarantee the completeness or accuracy of the information published. We are not responsible for any losses or damages that may arise. Nothing should be interpreted as investment or financial advice.